Mr. President, have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible. If we didn't put out the fires, and I mean the other fires, the bullet fires, they didn't do a good job with, they should have had the water coming down, like I said. You know, we had to release the water. We had to go in and release the water to L.A. It's so badly run. But if I didn't send the National Guard into Los Angeles, I would be making an announcement today. I'd be talking about Huntsville, and I'd simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles. If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, the top law enforcement person in Los Angeles said, we could not have handled it without them. So that's what he said.
Did you make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad, really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week. You know, it was like years, many years, where every single week somebody was killed for many, many, many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had, last week it was announced that nobody was killed last week.
Lots of big exaggerations there. I'm not going to get into each one of them, but let's talk about Chicago. We're going in. Tyler Pager, we're going to talk about this for just a second, then move back on to Epstein, which, by the way, hasn't mentioned so far. Tyler, we're going in. He's just faced a ruling from a federal court in California saying, no, he doesn't have the authority to send troops into American cities. It violates the Posse Comitatus Act. There are, I guess, ways to get around this, different authorities to use, or different, you know, you can use ICE, maybe not the National Guard or the Marines. Do you have a sense of what exactly he means when he says we're going in?
No, I think that was telling there, Katie, that he did not specify when or exactly who. He said where, which could mean a whole lot of different things. Obviously, he's been teasing this for weeks. We've seen multiple times over the past few days. He's posted on True Social about the murders or crime in Chicago. He's been very much ratcheting up a fight here with J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, and Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. And it's clear he is using this as, a tool to crack down on crime. We've seen him do it here in D.C., and Chicago's been a target of his for some time. But I think the lack of clarity there is telling, and it's also important because we don't know exactly what the U.S. government is going to do. We've seen, some preparations about increased ICE enforcement. He could be referring to that. It could be a National Guard situation, but the reporter there really tried to get an answer out of the president, and the fact that he didn't really say much specifically. I mean, it's noteworthy that he said we're going in. That's the first time he's confirmed that there's going to be some sort of federal government response to crime in Chicago. But the lack of specificity is important, especially, Katie, in light of the ruling you just mentioned as it pertains to the deployment of the National Guard in California.
Is there any talk behind the scenes about actually trying to declare an insurrection?
I mean, I think they are exploring. I can't speak specifically to that. My sources inside the White House say the president is determined on this issue. As we just heard, he's now declaring D.C. an entirely safe city. There's some dispute about Trump's characterization of the federal response here in the nation's capital. But it is clear he feels vindicated by his decision to send in the National Guard here. And he and his administration are exploring various different options. And it's not just for Chicago. I think what's important here is he is focused on blue cities across the country. I think D.C. was first, Chicago is next. We could see this playbook expand across the country. And so because of that, it is very clear across the administration there is a drawing up of different plans to present to the president. And maybe he has not fully made a decision about which one of those plans he's going to move forward with. And that's the sort of vagueness that we're getting. But I think there is clear attention from the president on this issue, and we're expecting to see some sort of federal response.
All right, let's go back to Epstein. Epstein not mentioned there at all, but it is certainly the talk on Capitol Hill. As I just mentioned, Jake, Thomas Massie has filed his discharge petition. Is he going to get all the Democrats? Is he going to get enough Republicans to sign on to this, to force this to the floor?
You should get every Democrat, Katie. I don't see why any Democrat wouldn't sign this. Let's just take a step back. You'll remember a couple weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, had to send the House back early, send him home for their recess, their summer recess early, because he couldn't get anything across the floor because of this Epstein mess. Now, the leadership had hoped that this would recede after the August recess. It is not. The White House wants to move on from it. The House Republican leadership wants to move on from it. But Tom Massie and some Republicans and a bunch of Democrats don't want to move on from it. They have victims up here today. They're holding news conferences, all sorts of action. The House Republican leadership is putting a bill on the floor that supports the House Oversight Committee their investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. It's completely, I don't want to say meaningless, but it's meaningless. I mean, the committee could hold its investigation into Epstein without any intervening action from the House of Representatives. But the idea here is to give Republicans and Democrats something to vote for instead of signing this discharge petition. I don't know that it will work, but the math is pretty simple. They'll need 6 Republicans, most likely, to clear the discharge petition and force a vote on the floor. Then that has to go over to the Senate, and whether it gets a vote there or not, we don't know. But this is a live issue for Johnson, and he doesn't only have a discharge petition on Tom Massie on the Epstein matter. He has a discharge petition that's coming up from Anna Paulina Luna about banning stock trading on Capitol Hill. Another issue, Katie, that's incredibly popular in the public that the leadership has not moved on, both Democratic leadership and Republican leadership, for some time. So in addition to the shutdown at the end of the month, we have all these kind of issues bubbling up to the surface after a month-long August recess.
Yes, Stuart, so how much is the Epstein files, the issue, the controversy there, how sticky is it still? I know there was obviously a desire by Johnson to cool things down by letting everyone go for the summer recess a bit early, as he said that he couldn't get anything else done with Massie and others trying to force this. Is it going to be as disruptive this month?
Well, look, I think they keep making it worse. The president sent his own criminal defense lawyer, and just pause there for a second. The president of the United States has a criminal defense lawyer, which he needed because he was convicted of a felony. Extraordinary meeting with one of the most notorious child sex traffickers of modern era. And the result of that was that that person was then moved to a Club Fed where she can take yoga classes and can leave during the day. So, I mean, let's just step back. I worked for the Republican Party for a long time. If I had a piece of Tesla stock for every crime ad I made for Republicans, I could depose Elon Musk. But this is absolutely meaningless when the president is pardoning those in Washington who attacked policemen. One died. And has his own lawyer cutting some sweetheart deal that clearly is some sort of dance to get a pardon with a notorious sex trafficker. So, look, the Republicans, MAGA, they feasted on this about Epstein. This was part of a unified theory of the world. And now they control all these levers of government. And they've got these people at the FBI who are in the position because they were popular podcasts, of which they became popular a lot talking about Epstein. And they're not doing anything. And this could all be done this afternoon, which Massey knows. And why are you not releasing it? I don't think any of us are worried about being named in the Epstein files. We don't have a problem with it. Clearly, Donald Trump is worried about it. So, yeah, I think this is a big problem for him, and it's not going to go away.